Welcome back once more, ladies and gents, to the ESL Katowice Royale, and we are getting closer and closer to crowning our duos champion. That's right, we are into round 12 of our competition now. Obviously, we've been focusing on these duos for the last couple of days, but before we get into our next round, we thought we'd ask our duos a little bit of a question, saying, if you could team with anyone, not just a Fortnite player, who would it be?
That's an interesting question, actually. But, well, I already have my perfect partner, so that would be it.
Same.
Okay. For me, Hulk, because when I was a child, I look every film of him, like Avengers.
I'll take Mickey Mouse.
I'll take Minnie Mouse.
Any reason for that?
Nope.
Why not?
Just want to play with mouse.
I'd probably pick myself, which I kind of already have.
I don't know, I'd pick like a Jedi of some sort from Star Wars, like Luke Skywalker or something, I guess, yeah.
I'd probably pick Gandalf, because I was getting to use his spells on some of the opponents.
Tfue. I think Micro for me. Yeah.
Nikov. I really want to play with Majin, because I always watches his videos in YouTube, and his play is really perfect, and his strat is really crazy, and his building is so fast, and his play is really flex. Right, I respect him.
I'd probably pick Mr. Savage.
Yeah, I've been playing with him before, and he's really insane at the game, so it would probably be the same for me. Mr. Savage.
Way better than any superhero.
Yeah.
If I could pick anyone in the world to be a duo partner with, it would be Elon Musk. Yeah, I think it'd be fun to play Fortnite with. Maybe he could give me a Tesla, you know?
Mine would have to be like John Cena, I guess.
I have to do this. I have to do it. I'm sorry. This is what the guys are playing for. We're all sat here doing the whole "you can't see me" thing. Smart place from production there to not show our faces. We do that.
Well,
great
you
to hear
can't
that.
see him, so he's a great.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, it all kind of fitted together quite nicely, didn't it? My favourite thing from that was the X2 twins. I'd like to play with myself. Wait, I pretty much already do. But Luke Skywalker, good choice over Anakin, because we all know what happened in the
You know
high ground,
who's really happy about that package for now? Adam Savage backstage, thinking when they say Mr. Savage, they mean him. Not you, Adam. Sorry,
Adam.
my friend.
I mean, it might be. We don't know. I mean, technically, I mean, but yeah, definitely not. Anyway, let's talk about the last game a little bit, because I know that you were, both of you, we've had a little bit of time to sort of recap on what we saw in that end game, but break it down for stress, because I know that you are bursting at the seams to break it down.
That last play of the game was incredible, and we've got a little bit of time in between the games where Baller actually went up to the guys and went to Zayt, and he said, you know, what happened then? Zayt said, oh, we've been planning that. We've been practicing it. We've actually played that strat before. And that is one of the things I love here this weekend, is the evolution of competitive Fortnite, bringing in set plays, bringing in the changing of drop zones, and seeing how other players play over a long stretch of time. And it's beautiful. I love watching it. Today's games have been so hype.
And obviously, we've seen a lot of hype games, but we are really getting down. I said business time, but I don't know what it is now. It's like, it's serious business time is what I'm going to rename it. I could probably do better than that, but we've only got a few games remaining here. We talked about how important having a huge game in these final rounds is. Saf and Zayt with a 92-point lead now. Interesting to think about. We were thinking about the start of the day with who was going to drop on the leaders and maybe try and cut them down and keep them out the points. Do you think that maybe the pressure now goes onto the chasing pack and we could see some changes in drops again?
I mean, yeah, I believe so. I believe we'll see way many more contested areas and just a whole lot of Wing going on. And that's what I like, you know, like if like just pushing people, snowballing, making it to the end game, that's my type of gameplay.
I like the mix where you see players do that in specific games, right? Where they say, okay, the pressure's on, now I have to make sure I get to the late game or make sure I take an area better in the early game. Like, there's so many things in play here when it comes to different dynamics that players are starting to learn where and when they have to change their play style.
But you can't get too desperate either. Like, if you're too desperate, you're just going to fall on the short end. And yeah, you just have to stay composed, and if you're going to W, just do it right.
And the interesting thing is now, obviously, we've only a finite amount of rounds left. We've only got 3 rounds left to get through today. That means there's only a certain amount of points realistically available. So we need to keep an eye on that gap between first and second place, because if that extends to a certain point now, you've got to think that maybe this could be wrapped up.
Yeah, it may very well could. I'm glad we're taking a look at some of the leaders here, as we saw Vinny and Zextro on your screen before. The thing about that is now I wonder whether people will start dropping on Zate and Saf here, like, because now they've got 92-point lead. That's almost identical to the lead that Vinny and Zextro had, and that lead has now gone. So if the players backstage now between rounds 11 and 12 have said, let's take a look at what Zate and Saf are dropping and see if we can mess with their game a little bit, that now is that key question as we go into our last 3 games.
Yeah, I can certainly see that happening. We've already seen it happen a few times today, but enough chatter from the desk. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get into our round number 12. Just 3 games remaining today. Gentlemen, take it away.
Round 12 of the ESL Katowice Royale is live, and we're riding on with Saf and Zate, and oh boy, if other people are dropping on them, this is going to be the closest thing we've seen to a pub game start with everybody in Tilted Towers. But for now, they're drifting up. We've seen them drop so many times around Loot Lake, so nothing too different on this start for them.
Still contested here, though, over at Viking. We do still have Zextro and Vinny not changing it up. They worked out for them last game. And yeah, they're contested. Might be a rerun here with Aim Hero and FaxFox.
But they'd learned. They'd actually brought the gameplay in where it's saying, okay, let's not full-on loot. Let's just grab what we can and take a very smart fight. Meanwhile, some of the other leaders here, Cripper and Boya, very high up on the standings, getting a llama to start this game off, gets those materials. And this is a fight we're going to keep our eyes on all the time, because Zextro and Vinny, same plan as before, sitting back, but FaxFox and Aim Hero are doing a similar thing themselves. They say, okay, we lost the last duel, we have to be more careful, because for Aim Hero and FaxFox, this is about them also climbing up the leaderboard. It's not only about denying points, because at all times, each player has a 5-point bounty on their head for that elimination. So even taking out the league leaders, you get those points, you rack up the scoreboard and try and get into that top 20 to get the earning placements.
That's right. We see a little bit of slower gameplay going on over there at Viking, just taking their time, farming up some mats. They were falling a bit short on mats the previous round. So yeah, a better change up. Whopping and Skix here of it lucky.
This is a very interesting fight because it's the opposite end of the scoreboard that are actually fighting down in Lucky. Hoopex and Skix and the Chinese duo both sat in that last 5 position. And realistically, the bottom end of the scoreboard, one game lifts you right the way up. If you can get to the end game, get to a bunch of eliminations, that can drastically change where you end up finishing in this tournament.
Yeah, that's right. And as we can see right now, earlier on the map here, we had 3 teams in Tilted. We have 3 teams in Dusty Diva. So it does look like players are changing it up a little bit, and yeah, I hope we can see some of that action going on very soon.
And that means Bizzle and Demo have extra competition over at Dusty.
Yep.
Aiden and Nick Merckx, we've talked about a lot over at Tilted, sticking to that game plan for the most part. So they haven't really got a whole lot of points from it, but that's that aggro play and how it's a lot trickier to make it work in this points format, where a lot of the points are in placements and then mixing in eliminations alongside. So this is a very, very precarious engage between Zextro and Vinny. You can see everybody just peeking, but not committing to a fight yet. As Aim Hero is trying to get higher and higher, can't quite find what he's looking for, and his loadout is pretty sparse right now, enough to get the job done in close quarters, though.
Yeah, and I'm quite surprised to see Aim Hero and FaxFox pushing up a little bit here. They do not have any shields. Vinny and Zextro, they do have pretty good inventory going on. They have good inventory, they have shields, and as soon as they land a hit on either Aim Hero or FaxFox, they'll notice that they have no shields, and they will just start to push up. Probably Metro going down in Tilted.
Metro down very early as Maki and Ryux, another duo that we haven't seen too much from this weekend, actually picking up a big elimination for themselves. This is what we're talking about. A few elims can change the complexion of the scoreboard as we go into the last couple of rounds, as Maki takes a lot of damage from Jules and Mies. As they're going to build down, try and trade some of this back, but that's Jules getting dropped as Ryux was able to put him down, and as he goes into the box, who's going to come out ahead? It's Mies is going to drop Ryux. There's dynamite ticking somewhere.
Just going down too quick, just taking that elimination for granted. Not something you want to do. Stick with your teammate, push up together, and secure the elimination.
Jules goes down from that dynamite. Second elimination from Ryux as he drops down to try and convert the duo for that third of the game, and he's going to play this slower, going to try and just own this entire area, almost boxing Mies in like a rat trap here at this point. But look, Mies has found his way out of the trap and is trying to turn it back around from himself. Klingers has another one, trying to disrupt this, does tag the shields, and look at how low Maki is. Maki thought he maybe had Mies completely trapped, but it's gone the other way.
Because I like how Marky just rotated around that area and picked up all of the loot as it did, but he did end up losing high ground over it and trying to make his way out. I'm not sure if he's want to engage or yeah, he does want to engage, and he reclaims high ground.
He's got that compact SMG here as well if he wants to shred through some wood. Does get damage off at first, and now the hunt is on for Maki as he tries to go. Two big things popping up in the action feed as Zexro has eliminated Faxfox. That was the fight over at Viking that we were tracking earlier on, but that fight will persist for a long time as they've actually dropped all the way away from Viking on this exchange, but they're still in the safe zone because it's focused down in the southwest of this map for the first zone.
Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure they, as you see, Zexro has 2 eliminations, so they clean up Viking, making their way down here in Stadium. Kuna is alone. We know his teammate Mitro.
Whoa! Mies taken out as Maki secures the 3rd elimination for the duo.
And we were talking about this a little bit. After, when you have a standoff going on for so long, you start to feel a bit more comfortable in your area. But as soon as the team, as soon as the opponent just jumps on, like we saw, and just it's unexpected.
Yeah,
it's unexpected, right?
Unexpected, and unexpected to see only one of the X2 twins on your screen at first, but you can see that's because Jordan and Jesse split as Jesse has the high ground. I was kind of had that moment where I'm thinking, no, has one of them already fallen in this game? They have to play together, you know, but definitely still both in it. Has that Chug Jug if he needs to heal up, but for now, not really worth just for that 50 shields at this point. Maybe if we see them take that trade, we might end up using it.
Yeah, and Jesse and Jordan here, they do want to continue hunting. They are on the hunt. Sipan taking some hits there. They're rotating through the river, which is really risky, but using the mountains to their advantage to get that line of sight.
Yeah, trying to use that hand cannon. You know, that is painful when you're running along and somebody manages to line up the perfect hand cannon shot, and you just, oh, well, I guess I'm down now. Always painful.
Keol is here taking some hits over from Hamlet, I believe, by Violin, and Windwalker tries to go for the snipe up there, up on X8, but does not land it. Keol is here moving together with his teammate.
X8 taking damage from another side, though. You can see after not falling to what was essentially a bit of a quick scope, X8 does survive to fight another day. You can see Violinen and Windwalker out to the side. So heavily contested area, but remember, this is in the zone that we were talking about. This is all safe areas for the rest of this first storm as it closes. We'll have to see how much of it actually stays in the safe area. And this is a very dangerous place because so many people have snipers. So many people have long line of sights.
Yeah, it's a very open area. It makes it very difficult to rotate around as you do have to use those materials very efficiently to make sure you don't take any unnecessary hits. Look at this, Cloud is landing and turning around with that heavy AR and landing a hit on Jar.
Yeah, it's trying to just line up as much as he can as people are floating down on the gliders. Here we go, new zone is going to be centered around Shifty and Polar as we see Nero and Tajovsky fighting. Tajovsky has a lot of support from the crowd here in Katowice, Poland, and yesterday was on a real tear in the early game. You can hear the crowd react to Tajovsky. Careful with the cannon now,
careful,
my friend.
Tajovsky.
Careful, don't make this a Niet moment as he's going to fire himself into the zone. This one looks a lot safe. The crowd are behind him.
I'm surprised he hasn't developed some sort of phobia for these cannons, but well, you know, if you're scared, you're not going to get anywhere. 7 SSK and Jamside in a little bit of a skirmish here versus Ares.
And we didn't see 7 SSK, 7 and Jamside in the last game, I feel, but they have been doing exceptionally well over the last few, you know, rounds. Yesterday specifically, like 7 SSK 7 had the eliminations racked up. It's only today that we've really seen the big numbers they put up. I think they had 9 in one game. That got obliterated in the last 2 games where Camo and Zayt and Saf both put up massive numbers for themselves. And
very consistent indeed, but let's see if they can make their way out of Salt here. Oh, goes down by Jamside.
Yeah, Jamside's going to try and convert this into elimination, but he's got to be careful because he's a little bit in a treacherous position as well, as Ares is trying his best to pick off anyone that he can, but runs right into that shotgun, and Ares is out of round 12.
Lands on 4 eliminations and looking really good with the inventory, but we see Fa in history here. They hear that there's been a fight going on and they want a piece of the action.
Yeah, the vultures circling to try and pick off anything that they can from the scraps, and that's history. Getting knocked down, they've bitten off a little bit more than they could chew. As Far now has to 1v2. It's Jamside and 7 SSK 7 trying to convert this, and Bizzle and Demo in the action feed have dropped as well. Another one of our league leaders that we've been looking at all the way through. You just saw it in the top of your screen confirming that elimination. As Far is trying to bring history back into the game, but look at 7 SSK 7. He's knocking on that door, trying to find anything that he can. This is a long red. Storm Surge does become active, but 7 SSK 7 hasn't been able to convert it. As Far actually eliminates him from the game. Mistiming out of the Russian and Belarusian duo.
And I mean, Jamside's still...
he got it anyway, right?
Yeah. And Jamside's still alive here, but I did see Lolito and Exisma just hanging out right outside Salty, making their way into the zone slowly, and will probably guard the edge of the zone. So that may prove troublesome for Jamside in the near future here.
Going to be a tricky fight to make his way through. Beehive and Coffee trying to close in on our current points leaders of Saf and Zayt, but they're going to be able to launch pad away. But do they take any damage in the air? Doesn't look like much on offer, as Zayt does get clipped once, but he's able to settle himself up with some brick around him, and now they're in for the slower game. They've kind of playing very well in the late game, and I think that's one of the duos that we've seen have massive strength the later the game goes.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, just about now, their confidence is at an all-time high. They know what they're doing. They're just playing very slow. Can get into those fights, but at the same time, they are pulling out of the fight when they feel like, all right, this might not work. Let's just take it slow and yeah, move to late game.
So one thing that we've seen pop up in this game is that Storm Surge warning to be active, and I think players are starting to play a little bit around it. They're starting to realize in the early game, yes, we have to play for placement, but we also have to deal a little bit of damage from afar. We've got to tag people, and I think that's that adaptation that players are starting to realize with this specific format.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, with Storm Surge, you can choose to fight on your own terms. If you do get those early fights going on, you raise the threshold. Oh, look at this. Coffee is already down and Beehive is making his way out.
Easy elimination at the end of it for Saf, as Beehive had backed himself away. So Saf and Zayt on the board for round 12. And we'll see whether they can get that elimination game up as high as last game, because that was one of the best performances we have seen so far here at Katowice Royale.
Sino and Envy here with looking pretty good. 2 eliminations already. Does have the launch pad in their inventory, as well as some healing. Looking pretty good with mats, but they are by the edge of the zone, and there's a lot of players over here, Stress.
There are so many players congested in this area, and we'll see who makes the first move. As Sino and Envy, as you said, launch pad is there, should they want to use it. Camo and Issa around as well, so everybody in the mix of things on this northeast side of the zone.
Decides to use the launch pad eventually, and that means they make up the sound of the launch pad, notifying other players, okay, launch pad nearby, free rotation, let's recycle.
It's basically the Pied Piper, really. Just all the rats just following in the air, just get to safety and keep themselves in the game. As Nikov, you know, won the first game of the day alongside Airwax today. That was round 8, so they've started to perform a little bit more consistently on this second day, being allowed into the game a little bit more when it comes to these late games specifically, so I'm happy to see them doing well, as they were one of the duos that I predicted would do well. I know you've had a lot of experience watching and playing alongside them in some of the competitive games that we've had on Europe, and they seem to be doing quite well, but 72 hours, this is as far from European as you can get, as this NA duo is trying to lock down a few more eliminations for themselves. Can't quite find the angle, and that, for now, should be the end of this engage.
Has a rocket launcher, will work in their favor. However, only one rocket, so that's not a lot to work with. We do have another team here. We do have Liquid Vivid here together with Poach, just hanging out nearby. We'll probably decide to capitalize if someone goes down over here.
All the Liquid fans have their heart in their mouth right now because of just the way that they're bunching together. They don't want to see a team kill, but at this point, they really could just use any points that they can get, and that's why you're seeing so much crossfire come through. Everybody looking for these picks as the rotations start to come through.
And as we see, a lot of more aggressivity going on over here as the circle starts to move into the zone. And like we mentioned earlier, players do have to pick it up a bit here. We've started to notice a bunch of eliminations in the same for the same couple of teams. Domentos over there by Greasy River, all alone, knocked in the zone.
This has been perhaps one of the most aggressive games we have seen, where everybody's just trying to tag everybody at all points. Like that slow period of that third zone hasn't really come to fruition. There's been constant gunfire coming through in this area.
And look at Chap and Poach, 72 hours and Chap over here. They did use I believe they used the launch earlier, but they ended up on the edge of the zone. So that's a clear sign of them just going all aggro and trying to pick it off as many eliminations as possible. See Seth is sitting above them. Obviously, they don't know how damaged he is, but if they find out, he's in big trouble.
Yeah, they may very well have tagged him, but look, Chap now has to be careful, as that's one of the things about this situation. You can see Vivid and Poach were looking over there, and I think Vivid, I don't know whether it's a heavy sniper specifically, but that wall dropped very quickly, and then the follow-up fire. That's the difference between duos and solos, is you can coordinate very, very well to take down a wall and instantly follow up with damage.
Yeah, that's right. Some explosives going off here as they try to open up some walls and probably get some hits up. We know the Chap, he is sitting on a rift to go.
So exposed.
And yeah, there's so many explosives going on, and this is just like the edge zone guarding going on.
Oh,
just in time.
Oh, just in time getting them out of there. That was a very smart use of that Rift to go, because Vivid and Poach had almost 100% locked down those eliminations if that RPG had hit with the dynamite combination. But now Vivid and Poach have to turn their attention elsewhere and look to get themselves further into that safe zone.
And the circle is, I believe the circle is over by Polar Peak, which is a scary area. We haven't really seen that in the tournament so far, but it's not the favorite of a lot of players. Heading into a replay here, Stress.
Oh, and this is Zexro and Vinny, this fight we were talking about, how important that was. Aim Hero ended up falling, and then Zexro from the high ground was able, by the looks of it, to pick up the pieces. Faxfox, there is no running away from Zexro when he has you in his sights. Looks like he was able to convert that, as this was Jamside and 7SSK7, nearly ending up on the bad side of an exchange. Nikov and Airwax out of the window, trying to pick up as many eliminations as possible. They will be looking to climb the points and upset Zayt and Saf, who are sat over 90 points in the lead in first place.
Storm Surge is active, but a lot of players have dropped already. There's only 56 players alive, and we're heading into the 5th circle, which is a bit lower than we're used to. We see Jordan in 72 hours going down there in the action feed, and Lolito as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned how many fewer players there are. This is what we were talking about with the fact that this has been an aggressive game. This is just insane action all the time. Everybody's peeking out of windows, trying to find anybody they can. And as I said at the beginning of this game, every single person, whether you're at the top of the leaderboard or at the bottom of the leaderboard, you are worth 5 points when you get eliminated. And that is why people are starting to go so aggressive.
That's right, we do hear a nade launcher popping off there somewhere. And as you saw in the map in the bottom right corner, look at this, the mountain goating here by the edge of Polar Peak. This is bound to get real interesting, real fast. And Trip and Boy are doing really good this game as well. As a nade launcher and just firing it down on whatever team was down there, just camping it off.
Oh, I wonder whether we're going to get to that mountain climb, as people are going to have to build up, utilize the vertical game as well up the side. The terrain, this is one of these moments where it actually has that impact, and you can see some of the players that get left behind and straggle down at the bottom will get caught, and they will end up falling to the zone, because you have to beat the zone up that mountain. Otherwise, it is incredibly difficult. You basically have to choose to fight if you get caught in the back.
Yeah, that's true. We do see Poach and Vivi going down in the action feed by Krippa and as well Eric. Just a beautiful spot here by Krippa and Boyer. They can just see everything from it. Ooh, beautiful hits. Kites are almost down. Very, very low. Krippa and Boyer currently ranked number 3.
Look at this position.
Another elimination. Now they're up to 3.
That position just peeking out through the floor and just getting this beautiful angle. That's what we were talking about. They made it up on the high ground early, and that means everybody has to come towards them, and there's so many exposed angles, so many people. Zexro did just fall, as I think that was Airwax and Nikov were able to get an elimination there. Animal and Aspect are still up in this game as well. Another duo that is hovering just outside of the top, I believe, trying to make their way into the leader position. Vinny on his own for the rest of this game now, and he's got to try and recoup that 90 points that they had coming into today and ended up losing because of the way they got challenged very hard at Viking.
But they are within the points. There's 23 teams left, so at this point, if you're solo, just stay along for as long as possible, get those 3 points, and yeah, you might be able to rack up some points. And the circle, we just saw in the bottom right corner again here that the circle's moving up far north by the edge of the mountain once again.
How tricky is this zone? Looking at it, it looks like it runs right along the outside of the mountain.
So it's going to touch, it's going to go through the mountain, right? It's not going to go around. So all these players on low ground are going to have a real issue getting up unless they have a rift to go.
We know there are a few on the field and there are a few launch pads that are already down, so there will be a little bit of assistance. You can see people starting to fly up and make their way around, but it certainly is a whole lot trickier. There we go. The mountain edge cuts directly through the safe zone, so we basically are split on 2 levels completely here in the game, and the subsequent circles are going to determine it, and the RPGs from the high ground are going to do it as well, because it is so difficult to build up, and you can see that come into effect by how many eliminations just racked up. We lost Smeef, we lost Vinny. Vinny has dropped in this game, and who is still there? Sinnoh and Envy with the absolute high ground now at the top. Zayt and Saf up there as well. Boyer, Krippa still alive. Margin's down at the bottom. There's a few other duos left in this, but this is a very tricky situation to be in.
The zone's going back. It's going back up on the mountain, so whoever's on top right now will have a clear advantage.
Yes, and as you said, it is back directly over the mountain, so now has to be the rift to goes, and we've seen them already. So for Saf and Zayt, they are okay. They're in a fine situation. They don't have that ultimate high ground, but they may be able to retake it from Sinnoh and Envy, who dropped down. I wonder whether they don't have the materials to build over the top.
We saw Boyer going down there as well. Probably so Vindy's down. Violin trying to clutch it out, but they are at the bottom of the mountain. There's no real way to get out of there unless you have a rift, like we mentioned.
Zayt and Saf are going to take this fight against Envy. And Sinnoh right at the top. It's Aspect. They're trading as much as they can. It's Aspect comes in on the side. Sinnoh up to 3 eliminations for himself. This is such a compact fight at this point. So many people have been dropped down at the bottom, including Nikov. I'm looking to see whether Airwax is still alive, his duo.
And Zayt and Saf, they have high ground once again. Just look at their inventory. It's looking really good for them. And oh, Krippa going down eventually.
There's that high ground. It was Saf that picked up that elimination, and they are doing an incredible job. They are the only team so far to pick up 2 victory royales, and they could very well be closing in on another. X8 drops in on them, but does he drop? He gets knocked down. X8 doesn't convert it. Now they are just guarding this high ground.
You can't challenge the kings of high ground without getting punished, and look at that. They're just holding it. They have 6 eliminations, and they're going for more. They're up to 7.
And they still have the high ground despite dropping, because they're going to try and use this RPG to pick off as many as they can. Zayt, I believe, did get the elimination credit for that. He did, as that was Razaru, and Zayt and Saf are having the games of their lives as they are up to 8 eliminations. They are 90 points clear already on the field, and this is a fantastic performance.
This is just insane to me. I do not believe, I do not know how this is possible at
Saf
this point.
just got Stompy as well. There's only 5 players left. 4 duos. It's them against the world as Vato is desperately trying to stay in this. Shinken is on the edge of the storm, and Zayt and Saf, they've played the late game so fantastically. They've used the Rift to go to keep themselves alive, and they have the high ground. This is beautiful. They're letting Shinken and Stompy fight against each other for safety. As this zone transfers across, they're dying to the storm. There's almost no real way for them to get through in time.
They can just stay on top and just wait this out. Just look at that Shinken just fighting there, trying to hold on for his dear life.
They're trying to shoot it down to 1, as it's only Shinken that survives. Zayt and Saf are trying to convert, and they do!
Unbelievable!
3 victory royales for Zayt and Saf, and surely that's it. Surely they've put enough points between themselves and the rest of the field with an incredible round 12 win.
I don't know how they do it. It's just unbelievable. 3 royales.
It's
I have no words.
It's ridiculous. I don't know how they're doing it. They end up with the high ground. They end up with the fantastic position in every single game today.
They end up with 11 eliminations to boot as well. It's not as if they're just winning these games. They are crushing it when it comes to these final games of the day. And what a time to do it as well, gentlemen. Not leaving it till these final games. 2 back-to-back huge performances from these guys, and they have put themselves firmly in the driver's seat.
They were 90 points up, and they just shorted up, what, 120? 65 for a victory royale plus 55, I think. Yeah, 55 for 11 eliminations.
Can you even catch up at this point? The way they're going, I mean, at this rate, there's no way, right? At this rate?
I mean, they were 92 points ahead before this game, as we mentioned, but a huge game like that. And the thing to notice as well is, you know, Vinny and Zexro didn't have a huge game themselves, and they were the players that were looking to chase them down. You can hear the crowd. They're absolutely loving that performance that's just come in from those 2 gentlemen. But I think that is the question now. Can they be caught? Will we see a couple of teams maybe dropping on those drop zones earlier and trying to take them out of the game early? Because otherwise, this is theirs to lose.
Yeah, I wonder whether it has to be Vinny and Zexro dropping on them at this point. I wonder whether you have to try and claim the leaders for yourself for second place. What an incredible set of games.
Do you want to? It's dangerous. I would not want to contest them right now.
Okay, guys, well, I think that's enough from us. Let's hear from the guys who are absolutely crushing it right now here in Katowice, is, of course, Saf and Zayt.
Thank you very much. Guys, your Game 12 winners, Zayt and Saf. I mean, back-to-back, baby. This is just getting easy now, isn't it?
Yeah, easier and easier.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you're dropping the ball now. Only 11 eliminations this time. Saf, what happens?
I don't know. Had a lot of fun. It was a hectic game, for sure.
It certainly looks very chaotic at the end there. A lot of anarchy going on in the builds and such. First things first, I want to talk to you guys about your build-up towards this competition as well. I'm sure a lot of people are eager to find out about, you guys are clearly dominating the leaderboard right now. I think, I'm hearing in my ear, over like 160 points in the lead, which is crazy. Tell us about your preparation for this. How much have you guys been practicing ahead of this event?
So me and Sav have been playing for approximately 4 months. We've been playing together every single day, playing every single scrim, customs, everything at least 6 hours a day. And we get our personal practice, another 6 or something. But yeah, at least 6 hours together.
And when you're playing together as well, I guess you're developing all these different strategies and things towards the end. We've seen a lot of great plays towards the end of your games as well. Are you making these things up as you go along sometimes, or is it all kind of predetermined stuff?
Well, certain situations are different and you have to do different things, but most of the time we know what we're doing and we just have to react to what someone else does and then try to get hyped, basically, end game.
I mean, yeah, I'm hearing my ear, 160 points in the lead now. Do you think this is done and dusted, or are you still going to have to keep going right the way to the end?
It depends what people that are not in the lead are going to do, because I feel like people are going to start landing on us. It happens last game, so we'll see how it goes, yeah.
And it seems like Poland are loving you guys here as well. Isn't that right, guys? Saf, I've got to ask you, how much are you guys enjoying competing here at Katowice Royale?
Well, it's been awesome so far. I really like this format, and yeah.
I have no doubt we're going to see them again at some stage in the very near future on this stage again, guys. Give it up, your Game 12 winners, Zayt and Saf. It's just unreal. It's just, what is it, 25 kills in 2 games. Mind-blowing, mind-blowing. Back to you, Mark. Crazy.
Thank you very much, Adam. As you say, it has been a crazy couple of games for those guys. And just a reminder as well, Saf, who stood there at the moment, he took home first place in the duos in the secret skirmish as well. So it's not just back-to-back victory royales. Potential back-to-back duo tournament wins for this man.
I'm actually shaking still at that end game of how clean they've been. So clean. Everybody says, you know, end game, it's messy, it's so difficult to determine who is going to win. Well, Zayt and Saf have got it figured out. There is absolutely no team that has performed this well in the end game.
They're so modest as well. Their interview yesterday, yeah, we got lucky, found a window, popped a nade in there, and today got lucky, found some people, pumped them, got the match. But I mean, this is not luck. This is pure skill.
As carried away as we are getting with the 2 performances that we've just seen from this duo, and rightly so, it has been phenomenal. Just take ourselves back 2 games.
Sure.
And we were like, okay, this is super close. It's 3 points between the top 2. And then all of a sudden, these 2 big games. But that shows we still have 2 games left today, even with this incredible points lead that they have, currently sat on 711 points. If they do not make it to the end game, if they fall out for whatever reason of those placement points, this is still a competition that they could lose.
Absolutely, and this is where, as they were expecting, or as they said, they now have to expect people to drop on them. And I wonder whether Cripper and Boya look at that and say, okay, maybe it's us that has to go. Zexro and Vinny, maybe they say, okay, maybe it's us that has to challenge them, because if they're left alone to even get points at this point, it's very difficult to chase them.
And that's the point, is that you need, it's not just a case of taking them out of the game at some point. You have to take them out early, because it's not just placements. You can't let them get those eliminations either.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to drop them too early in the game. You can take it slow and then try to counter them later as you realize where they are. But I mean, Trip and Boya, they've been doing really good. They're in every end game.
Yep.
They're super consistent, but they're still like 150 points away,
and that's
which is insane.
That's got to be the frustration for these guys at the moment, hasn't it? Because they're playing so well, and they're just being pipped to the post at the moment by this incredible duo. Gentlemen, we think it's time for a quick break from us, because we've got 2 more games to get through. Back-to-back victory royales coming in from Saf and Zayt, though. We'll be back in just a few.